U.S. dollar hitting fresh lows, but what currencies are capitalizing on that right now? Which ones are gaining? Because we have seen more often recently than perhaps earlier this spring, unanimous dollar moves. Earlier this year, we saw some different risk-on pairs play differently than the safe haven currencies. A lot more of that dynamic now. It's a lot more U.S. assets, U.S. dollar moves as a whole.
It's a dollar story. It has been more or less for the last couple of years. Actually, I shouldn't say that. During the post-pandemic boom and inflation run-up, there were plenty of U.S. hiking rates. Oh, well, actually, now the U.K. are really hiking rates.
Interesting.
There was back and forth there. That wasn't just a U.S. dollar story. The last 6-ish months has been a U.S. dollar story. But what's interesting is the range of action between currencies against that U.S. dollar, because I think a lot of people would just imagine, oh, well, euro and pound and yen and Swiss franc and the commodity currencies, CAD and Aussie, everybody, if one of them is at an extreme, they all must be at an extreme. Or if one of them is up 10%, they all must be up 10%. And we've seen a pretty good mix of action, so I'm excited to go through it.
We've got a good list for you here, looking at the U.S. dollar pairs that are offered by tastyfx, taking you by month or, in some cases, year-long extremes from least extreme to most. We've got first New Zealand dollar here outperforming the Australian dollar in recent weeks. We got a 7-month high there, dating back to November of 2024. And there you have the last week of movement and the year-to-date high, from the move from the year-to-date lows, actually. So we're up about 9% here.
It's a nice little move, and to be back above 60 cents, good for you. But yeah, this is one of those, you closed on some of the worst prices in Kiwi history. And so 9% is nice, but and the fact that it's better than Aussie is man, Aussie, holy smokes. But compared to the fact, I just know in the back of my head that pound and Swiss franc, some of these currencies are are at multi-year extreme, multi-year upside extremes. And so the fact that this one is just back to, fall of 2024, it could have more to gain.
Absolutely. Next up, Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar 1 month greater. We've got an 8-month low in dollar CAD. What do we think of this? We're coming off of
a little stronger than I thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you might say, well, Frank, you just showed me that Kiwi's up 9% on USD and CAD here is only up 7.25% on USD year to date. But one, USD CAD is a less volatile market than New Zealand or Aussie. Most of the time, of course, you can have weird action. And two, I look at all of that crazy action. Canada was the first one that the Trump trade wars went after. And the fact that we got all the way up close to 148, and they're back down to close to 136, which is relatively normal. It gets you at least back to the middle part of 2024 there, or a little bit normal than some of those other commodity currencies. I'm surprised by this, CAD.
Absolutely. On the heels of that Bank of Canada decision earlier this week. Next up, staying in North America, Mexican peso. What do you think about this? Now also reaching October levels of last year, but this one, a lot more historic room to run. 2024, we got as low as 17.
Yeah, decent volatility in here. I would have expected this to be even more volatile. I would have expected this market to be, close to doubling those Canadian dollar moves. So nice little move in here.
But nice that it's actually included maybe some of these nearshoring trends starting to pick up. Next, we've got one of your favorites,
Why is that?
The Czech koruna.
Why is that my favorite?
You love all the krona, kronar, koruna, kronos, all of the Scandinavian pairs. But the outperformer this year has been the Czech koruna, trading now at 2023 levels, so almost 2-year lows in this market, and your percentage from year-to-date highs
Good
pretty
for
strong.
them. The Czech, I'm part Czech, so I can say this. They're a proud people, and they've been in the lab working, and their economy is starting to, one, outperform nearby countries,
Box out.
and two, not be reliant on the euro area. Great. I'm also, well, actually,
I'm also European.
I'm also
proud
Italian,
people.
so I can claim that as well. But a little bit too much cronyism there. Okay, a little bit too much like,
And less
Germany's
Corona-ism.
doing really well, but they got to pick up the slack of like Spain and Italy.
Yeah. Tough.
It's
Big
tough.
ask.
Check. Good for you guys. That is a hell of a move. And yeah, now we're talking about seeing some extremes that are multi-year. That'll be an interesting one to watch.
And last up, we have the British pound, who is back up to 3-year
Holy
highs and trading right near this 136 level. A similar price action to the Czech koruna, but this is a major pair here, supposedly historically less volatile.
Glad I got my London trip in last year.
Oh, your London trip through the company?
They did pay for it. They did pay for it. So I'm glad for them. But man, 135.5, we are dangerously close to just breaking away into levels that we haven't seen for 10 years plus, which is like the $1.50. Oh man, this is a strong market. And you might say, oh, the Czech market it's the same type of price action, 11% or whatever. This is a market that is not nearly as volatile as some of those smaller currencies like the Czech koruna. This move is pretty crazy. We'll see if it continues, but this has been 135-ish has been the high for the last several years, so this will be an interesting one.